presence of the police makes a difference. Our cops count. Their presence matters. It makes a difference in the safety and well-being of our city and our communities.
Debating the cost of keeping the city safe. Toronto police make a pitch for more money.
Tonight, the expected impact on taxpayers and how the police service plans to use the extra funds. Good evening. It's a major piece of the proposed city budget that includes a near 7% property tax increase.
Today, Toronto's police chief at City Hall defending the ask of millions more to tackle crime. CTV's Natalie Johnson joins us live with the details. Natalie.
Hi, Nathan. Well, last year in Olivia Chow's first budget as mayor, there was quite a battle with the Toronto police over their budget ask. At that time, they were asking for $20 million more. The administration initially was not in favor of that. They later backtracked. However, fast forward a year, Toronto police are now asking for $46 million more. And it does seem that this time around, everyone is in favor of more boots on the ground.
Toronto's top cop arrived at City Hall today, set to make his case for a big budget ask.
How are you, Chief?
Good, how are you?
Requesting millions more to hire more officers.
We are committed to improving our service, making Toronto the safest it can be.
Their proposed $1.2 billion police operating budget includes a 3.9% increase over 2024, $46 million more than last year. The multi-year hiring plan would bring on 109 additional uniformed officers this year, 70 of which would be on the front lines supporting priority response.
The allocated funds that is going to be given to them, hopefully, if this budget goes through, is really to really put more boots on the ground, and so that, we have more people in our community doing neighborhood policing.
The police making the case that crime rates and call volumes are increasing faster than resourcing. Police report that in 2024, shootings and firearm discharges were up 34%, hate crimes were up 42%, and homicides were up 16%.
The metrics that we are operating with are quite clear.
Highest priority calls were also up. Average response time for those urgent calls was 17.1 minutes in 2024, an improvement of 26%.
We heard loud and clear from the community last year that they want to feel safe in their homes, on streets. They wanted to see more officers on the ground.
No apparent pushback from the Budget Committee today. A very different story than the standoff last year when the mayor first refused the full police budget boost before eventually giving in.
I'm very much appreciative of last year's process, the way it ended, where we had leadership from City Council in support of a multi-year hiring plan, which we delivered on this year, reflected in our budget.
At this point, seeming like police budget battle averted, full council and the mayor still need to sign off on the billion-dollar plan.
As for the average response time for priority one calls of 17.1 minutes, even though that is an improvement over the previous year, the chief said today he believes there's still a lot more room for improvement. They're calling it a work in progress. Reporting live at City Hall, I'm Natalie Johnson. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Natalie. Also tonight, Drake drops legal action in the battle against his music label. New details about the shooting outside his home and the safety concerns for himself and his son.
We turn to a disturbing and bizarre crime in a South Mississauga neighborhood.
A teen taken into custody after a home was deliberately set on fire. A family dog injured, believed to have been stabbed. CTV's Mike Walker joins us live from Atwater Avenue with the story. What can you tell us, Mike?
Well, Michelle, Nathan, when fire crews arrived on scene, they found the injured dog in the doorway of the home. The teen, who police allege is responsible, was arrested at a nearby creek. A teenage boy is led away in handcuffs after crews responded to this Mississauga home for a fire and found an injured dog inside.
What we know to be true now is that the fire was intentionally set. We have taken a male youth into custody who is associated to the address here and believed to be responsible for both the fire and the injuries sustained by that animal.
Investigators say no one else was inside the home on Atwater Avenue when first responders arrived shortly before noon, after someone passing by called 911. At this point, it's not clear how the fire was deliberately started, but officials say the blaze caused substantial damage inside the home. It's also not clear exactly how the animal was injured.
Well, the information provided to us at the beginning was that it was stabbed. We haven't been able to confirm that as of yet.
Police arrested the teen in a creek just a short distance from the home. Neighbors tell CTV News a family with a little dog lived here.
It's quite upsetting, quite disturbing. The dog has been like a wonderful therapy dog for the gentleman across the street who just lost his wife. So it's like it was I can't understand somebody attacking a little animal like that.
Many are dog owners. They are horrified after learning what happened.
To have the type of will and intention to do that type of stuff is pretty wrong. Like, me as a pet owner, it's awful to hear that type of stuff.
Police say they are considering mental health as a factor.
You know, the circumstances of this are strange to say the least, or bizarre to say the least, and it, of course, is something that's going to be considered. If it is an element of the offense, of course, it doesn't excuse the criminality here.
The injured dog was taken to a local animal hospital to be treated. No official word on charges just yet, but Peel Regional Police tell us it will likely be arson related. Reporting live in Mississauga, I'm Mike Walker. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. 4 firefighters were hurt responding to a house fire in Hamilton overnight. Emergency crews called to the blaze on Country Club Drive around 12:30 a.m. They tried to enter the home because of reports people were inside. That ended up not being the case, but 3 firefighters suffered heat-related injuries. A 4th firefighter slipped on ice while at the scene. They've all been assessed at hospital and released.
Still ahead, a rough road to ratifying the ceasefire deal. Israel delays the cabinet vote, accusing Hamas of last-minute demands. The latest on efforts to pause the fighting and get hostages home.
A motorist is dead and several other people are hurt after a multi-vehicle crash on Highway 401. This happened around noon west of Burnham Street in Coburg. Police say they responded to a serious crash in the westbound lanes involving tractor trailers and a passenger vehicles. They've identified the man killed as a 70-year-old from Colburn. 4 people were sent to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The highway in the area is still closed.
Time now for a check on the forecast. Here's a live shot of the city. It's chilly outside, so bundle up if you have plans. But the cold air is moving out, and tomorrow will be around normal weather-wise. But then the cold air returns with a vengeance, so be ready for it. Lindsay Morrison's here with a look at the current conditions. Lindsay.
Nathan, lots going on in the weather department. Let's begin with today and the snow. It's true, we had a burst of snow, pretty persistent throughout the day around the GTA today. Very fine flakes, but we'll zoom in a little bit closer to show you the snow continues to fall downtown through the East GTA. It's finally starting to taper off in the West End, and winter weather travel advisories remain in place for some areas. Now, winds today are lighter than they've been, but they're coming from a new direction out of the southwest. That is starting to bump up our temperature. We're at -5 degrees right now, and overnight we should climb to around -4. This is just the beginning. Tomorrow we're above freezing. We'll talk about that coming up in your weather forecast. For now, though, Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. We're learning more about a shooting in the city that made headlines around the world when a security guard working outside the home of rapper Drake was struck by a bullet fired from a passing car.
So far, no arrests have been made, but Drake's legal team is now offering more insight into that incident. CTV's Scott Lightfoot joins us live in the studio with the details. Scott.
Michelle, these details are not from a police investigation into this shooting. They actually come from a civil lawsuit that Drake has filed against the company that distributes his own music. He's alleging that their promotion of a song by another rapper may have led to the violent incident.
While police wouldn't confirm it at the time, a new legal filing says Drake was inside his multi-million-dollar Toronto home early on the morning of May 7th of last year when shots were fired from a passing car. According to that lawsuit, the car stopped in front of the residence. Someone yelled "F Drake," and at least one gunman began to open fire. One bullet went through the security gate and hit Drake's front door. Another bullet struck and wounded a security guard, who was also one of Drake's friends. While the car drove away, Drake and others in the house summoned help for the security guard and did everything possible to keep him alive. The rapper's lawsuit alleges that it took nearly 30 minutes for an ambulance to arrive. The suit also says the following day, an intruder showed up at the home and used his hands to dig a hole under a security fence, gaining access to the property and yelling racist slurs and threats. It says another break-in attempt happened the next day. The filing says, fearing for his safety, Drake pulled his son out of school and moved him outside of the city, as well as increasing his own personal security.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
The lawsuit alleges the incidents were provoked by a diss track from fellow rapper Kendrick Lamar entitled Not Like Us. Drake is suing not the artist, but his music company, Universal Music Group, alleging that their release and promotion of the song caused the Toronto rapper to be defamed and harassed. The suit alleges the lyrics and promotion of the song include false allegations of pedophilia and calls for violent retribution.
This is typically the kind of law that's applied to like a newspaper or a television where people have been involved in the process of putting together a story. And here they're applying that law to a record label saying, well, you guys knew or should have known that this was false, and now you're responsible for it legally. Tough lawsuit to win.
Along with Lamar, UMG also distributes Drake's music.
Now, Universal Music Group has denied the allegations. In a statement, they said not only are these claims untrue, but the notion that we would seek to harm the reputation of any artist, let alone Drake, is illogical. The statement goes on to say we have invested massively in his music, and our employees around the world have worked tirelessly for many years to help him achieve historic commercial and personal financial success. Important to note here that the allegations have not been proven in court. Michelle?
Thank you, Scott. A 16-year-old girl has been charged with murder 2 months after a newborn was found dead in an Alliston home. OPP say they made the discovery November 21st and it was ruled a homicide, but they haven't specified how the newborn died or how the infant was related to the teen in custody. She made a virtual court appearance today from the police detachment in Alliston on charges of first-degree murder and committing an indignity to a dead body. The allegations haven't been tested in court.
York Regional Police have announced the arrest of one of their own officers on criminal charges. Police say their Professional Standards Bureau investigated and this week arrested Constable Guangnan Gary Sun. He's facing 23 charges of unauthorized use of computer, 2 charges of breach of trust by public officer, and 1 of obstructing justice. He's been employed by York Regional Police since August 2022 and will have his first court date February 18th.
We turn to the latest in the effort to fight off a tariff threat from south of the border.
Today, the Premier taking his pitch on protecting Canadian jobs to the business community in Mississauga. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris joins us now with more details. Siobhan.
Well, the Premier was talking up his Fortress and Cam approach that he has been focusing on the last week or so, and he got some applause from this business audience when he talked about seeking a new mandate. After thank yous and shout-outs at the Mississauga Board of Trade, the Premier dove in.
I want to start by addressing the issue that's on every person's mind in our entire country right now.
The threat of 25% tariffs on Canadian goods entering the U.S. in a matter of days.
This is serious. This can affect anywhere from 250,000 to 500,000 people.
Job losses in Ontario, Doug Ford is trying to prevent, urging the federal government to strengthen our bonds with our southern neighbor.
To align and streamline regulations with the United States while eliminating unfair, anti-competitive taxes like the federal carbon tax and the digital service tax.
Premiers across Canada met with the Prime Minister yesterday, and Ford says they're on the same page about stimulus if tariffs can't be avoided.
We need to put some money into the economy. God forbid, the tariffs continue for a long period of time.
Ford imagines something like support for key industries during the COVID-19 pandemic.
To be very frank, I do not have the mandate to spend tens of billions of dollars right now.
Will you be looking for that mandate?
Well, stay tuned. We'll see what happens on January 20th or 21st.
The early days of Donald Trump's second administration. While there's been cross-country collaboration at Queen's Park, the opposition has been shut out of tariff talks.
Let's sit down together. Let's work together on this. But I've said 100%. There's certainly no reason to go to an election to get that mandate.
Doug Ford's Progressive Conservatives are way out in front in public opinion polling, but there's a call for focus rather than juggling.
Running as a candidate, being premier, and also negotiating with the federal government with Washington. He cannot wear 3 hats right now. Ontario is crumbling.
Citing lack of access to a family doctor, homelessness, and high housing costs. We heard more from Ford today about Danielle Smith, the Alberta Premier's opposition to retaliatory tariffs. Ford seems to understand where she's coming from, but emphasizes again, as far as he's concerned, country has to come first. Reporting live, I'm Siobhan Morris. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. And in anticipation of those looming U.S. tariffs, today the Prime Minister announced the formation of a Canada-U.S. Relations Council.
If indeed the incoming administration moves forward with these unfair and unjust tariffs, Canada will respond. We will respond in measured ways, but in robust ways, demonstrating once again that Canadians know how to stand up for ourselves.
The group includes representatives from the auto industry, the nuclear power sector, agriculture, and the labor movement. The 18 members include former Premier Jean Charest, Rachel Notley, and Stephen McNeil, as well as Canada's ambassador to the United States, Kirsten Hillman. They will use their expertise to support Trudeau and the cabinet as they navigate the path forward. To the Middle East now. Last-minute disputes are holding up the ceasefire deal that was announced yesterday. Israel has yet to ratify the agreement, accusing Hamas of reneging on part of the deal. CTV's Genevieve Beauchemin reports.
Worry over a ceasefire deal replaced celebrations in parts of Gaza. We slept happily and had hope, says this man. Then suddenly we heard this news. Israel has yet to ratify the agreement on a first phase. It would trigger a 6-week truce, free some hostages, lead to the release of some Palestinian prisoners. Hundreds of aid trucks, some now parked at the Egyptian border, would also cross into Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu put off a vote expected today, accusing Hamas of backtracking on parts of the deal.
Unfortunately, we are dealing with a terrorist organization, and they are trying to blackmail at the last minute things that they were not agreed upon.
A senior Hamas official said the group is committed to the agreement as it was drafted. In Israel, families of hostages have expressed some hope over the deal.
I'm Yoshua Shani, the father of Ori Mordechai Shani, that got killed on October 7.
But protesters say they fear captives left behind and other Israelis will be killed.
Many families that don't know yet, but they will need to bury their son like us.
For now, Israeli strikes press on, pounding Gaza and killing dozens of people in the last day alone, according to Palestinian health authorities.
The U.S. helped broker the ceasefire and says it expects it to go ahead on Sunday. Genevieve Beauchemin, CTV News.
Back here at home, one of the perceived frontrunners to replace Trudeau as Liberal leader and Prime Minister made it official today.
Mark Carney declared his candidacy for leadership in what might have been the worst-kept secret in Canadian politics. CTV's senior political correspondent Mike LeCouture reports.
Mark Carney has officially declared he wants to lead the Liberals and the country. His launch looked like an election campaign rally as he was surrounded by MPs and supporters, and he took shots at Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre.
Mr. Mark Carney!
After weeks of strong hinting, Carney has finally committed.
I'm back home in Edmonton to declare my candidacy for leader of the Liberal Party and Prime Minister of Canada.
The former governor of the Bank of Canada and Bank of England says only he has the experience to be Prime Minister.
I've helped manage multiple crises, and I've helped save 2 economies. I know how business works, and I know how to make it work for you.
A source close to Chrystia Freeland says when she launches her leadership bid, she'll scrap the consumer carbon tax, even though it's something she defended while in cabinet.
The price on pollution is something that leaves 8 out of 10 families better off.
The carbon tax has been a signature policy of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and he continued to endorse it as presumptive frontrunners could be walking away from it.
Future governments will make the choices they make, but Canadians can know that it is possible to both fight climate change and put more money in the pockets of the middle class at the same time.
Now, without the consumer carbon tax as a ballot box issue, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre could have to fight an election on Canada's response to punishing tariffs from the U.S. He was called out by Freeland on social media, asking if he would stand up to President-elect Donald Trump pointing out Danielle Smith did not side with other premiers in keeping all retaliatory options on the table. Poilievre has said he's in favor of targeted tariffs, but blamed the Liberals for a possible trade war.
Right when the president is threatening us with tariffs, what is the first thing the Liberal Party of Freeland and Carney think to do? Divide Canadians, divide our provinces.
The deadline for leadership candidates to enter the race is exactly 1 week away. Freeland will do so on Sunday, while it's expected Liberal House Leader Karina Gould will do the same this weekend. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
The Conservatives have gone after Carney over his past support of carbon pricing and recently called him just like Justin. Taxes will likely be a major issue in the next election. And today, the Tory leader announced new cuts if his party's elected.
Common sense Conservatives are announcing today that under a Pierre Poilievre-led government, I will axe the Liberal jobs tax and reverse the capital gains hike that Chrystia Freeland announced last spring. We will bring down taxes. In fact, I will bring in, it's going to be called the Bring It Home tax cut. It will reduce taxes on work, investment, making stuff, building homes, and energy so that we can bring home more powerful paychecks and production to Canada.
Poilievre says he's responding to a capital gains tax hike introduced in last year's budget. He says the Liberal increase means 66% of investment gains will be taxed. Poilievre also vowed to cut subsidies to large corporations.
Now to the sentencing hearing for Pat King, one of the main organizers of the so-called Freedom Convoy. He's been convicted of 5 criminal charges, and today the Crown argued for the maximum sentence. Here's CTV's national correspondent Judy Tran.
Pat King is facing a prison sentence that has yet to be determined. A convicted felon that supporters consider a hero.
You're a hero, Pat. We love you.
Last November, King was convicted of 5 charges for his role in the Freedom Convoy, including disobeying court orders, committing mischief, and counseling others to do the same and to obstruct police. A judge determined the 47-year-old led a large convoy of trucks and used social media to plan and encourage disruption on Ottawa's streets.
It's a sham. The guilty pleas, okay, so maybe he was counseling people to come here. Okay, come on, let's go, we're going to protest. Come on down. I could do that. I could tell you to come down. That's not doing anything wrong.
We have him on the brink.
The Crown is seeking the maximum sentence of 10 years in prison, while the defense wants time served and probation. King has already spent 100 days in jail. On Thursday, in victim impact statements, the court heard how 16 women in a shelter were afraid to leave the building and how they felt like they were being abused again, and how residents were unable to access resources they needed for their mental health and medical needs. The defense argued the shelter's statement shouldn't be considered as evidence because the executive director didn't testify at the criminal trial. Outside court, this Calgary woman who drove to Ottawa during COVID lockdowns wanted to vouch for King's character.
My face was swollen from crying. I buried 2 sons because of this lockdown. One of the people who held me and treated me with kindness was Pat King.
In the courtroom, a probation officer also presented an assessment of King and found that he engages in denial and minimization and presented as having limited insight into the seriousness of his actions. After the Crown and the prosecution wrap up their arguments, Justice Charles Hackland is expected to take several more weeks before deciding if Pat King should serve his sentence in the community or in prison. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
At the Vatican, the Pope continued with his agenda for the day after hurting his arm in a fall. The pontiff was seen wearing a cloth sling as he greeted a United Nations official and others. Pope Francis suffered a contusion to his right forearm when he fell this morning at his residence. The arm was then immobilized as a precautionary measure.
Mission accomplished. Blue Origin has launched a massive new rocket on its first test flight. Today's liftoff from Florida carried an experiment meant to orbit thousands of kilometers above Earth. The test satellite reached orbit 13 minutes into the flight. The new Glenn rocket is designed to haul spacecraft and eventually astronauts to orbit and also the moon. Blue Origin has been launching customers to the edge of space since 2021.
In the meantime, one of NASA's 2 stranded astronauts got a change of scenery today. Sunny Williams went for a spacewalk, her first since arriving at the International Space Station 7 months ago. She tackled outdoor repair work alongside colleague Nick Hague. Williams will be out there again next week with Butch Wilmore. He is the other astronaut who launched aboard Boeing's new Starliner capsule last June.
Coming up, remembering the life and legacy of visionary filmmaker David Lynch. A look back at the groundbreaking director's achievements and his impact on Hollywood.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, it wasn't long ago Toronto was taken over by Taylor Swift, and trying to find a place to stay was difficult. Swifties visiting from Vancouver say they were shocked when the hotel they booked turned out to be a shared apartment. I'll have my reports just ahead.
Well, it's back. The polar vortex, which is normally trapped up north by a strong jet stream, will be making its way south again this weekend. This time, it's set to impact a widespread area of North America and bring us our coldest air of the season so far. We'll show you when temperatures will take a tumble coming up.
And as we settle into this blast of wintry weather and look ahead to that cold snap Lindsay mentioned, we're talking to the Toronto Humane Society about how to prepare your pets to enjoy the winter safely. Coming up, we'll have more on that story, and stay with us. We have another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
It's already been 2 months since Taylor Swift took over Toronto with her Eras Tour, causing ticket and hotel prices to go through the roof.
But some fans are still trying to get refunds, saying expensive accommodations they booked for the show were not as advertised. Pat Foran explains on Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Michelle and Nathan. When you book a hotel room, you might think it will have a lobby, hotel staff, and your own private room. But some visitors to Toronto say even though they used a hotel website to book their stay, they ended up in a condo with other people.
Welcome to the Eras Tour.
There is no doubt hotel room prices were at a premium when Taylor Swift was in Toronto for her Eras Tour. Alicia Kime of Vancouver and her friend knew accommodations would be expensive, but the self-described Swifties didn't want to miss their favorite artist.
The Eras Tour is probably the best show I've ever been to.
Kime booked a hotel room on Hotels.com and agreed to pay over $1,800 for a 3-night stay. She assumed using the website she was getting a hotel room. But when they got to the downtown building, there were immediate red flags.
And they had this really weird check-in process where it was somebody texting a bunch of stuff and you had to confirm, and then someone was going to call you.
When Kime and her friend got to their floor, it was clear it wasn't a hotel.
The elevator doors opened up and a man was there. He had a dog. He was wearing sweatpants.
She was shocked to find out they would have to share a space with the man, his dog, and other people in a condo, not a hotel room.
It was an apartment, and I looked at him and I asked, like, what is this? And the man said, didn't you read the fine print? Didn't you read the listing?
Kime says she and her friend didn't feel safe, so they didn't stay and found an actual hotel. When they contacted Hotels.com for a refund, they were told the room they had booked was non-refundable.
I would like a refund, but I think I'm past that part. I just want nobody else to lose their hard-earned money.
CTV News reached out to Hotels.com on Kime's behalf, and parent company Expedia told us, "We have an ongoing investigation with this property. We are sorry for Alicia's experience and are working to ensure this does not happen to future travelers." Kime was refunded half her money, $900. She wanted to warn others when using the website to be sure you're booking an actual hotel room and not shared accommodations with someone you don't know. And when we checked the website, we found other condos are being listed in the hotel section. If you're booking a hotel stay, read the listing carefully. You may also want to call ahead so you know exactly what kind of room you're getting. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, definitely seeing some flurries today. And depending on where you might be traveling, there's some more, tricky winter weather to travel through.
Right. You got the flurries, I'm sure snow squalls in some area, and then you got that really cold weather coming in.
Yeah, so first we're going to get a warm up starting somewhat overnight tonight, more so into the day tomorrow. The cool down comes for the second half of the weekend. And boy, oh boy, this is one that we're going to probably remember because it's been some time since we've experienced temperatures quite like what's in store. But first, yes, let's talk about today and the snow. Winter weather travel advisory remains in place for Niagara. Might see this come to an end in the next couple of hours here, along with areas of Grey County, Bruce County, around Collingwood and Barrie. Some measurable snow still in the forecast for tonight, along with reduced visibility. Environment Canada suggesting you postpone non-essential travel in some of those locations. Here's the satellite and radar. Still some flurries around Toronto, but these are starting to ease. They're tapering off. As for the temperature, it's -5 degrees right now. That's an improvement compared to at times what we've been like at this time of day. In the north, temperatures are on the cool side too, but not as bad as they've been either. Now, overnight tonight, this is interesting. Our temperature could actually rise somewhat, and then that will be the pattern going into tomorrow too. Here's tomorrow at a glance. -3 degrees in the morning. By the afternoon, we might climb to around 2 degrees above the freezing mark, and yes, above seasonal, holding on to about 1 degree through tomorrow evening. We're anticipating some sunny breaks, mostly cloudy skies, and then some gusty winds by the end of the day. And why the winds are important in this case is the direction that they're coming from, the south. So that's going to usher in some milder air for your Friday and Saturday too. There's Friday midday. It's a drier day. This is a bit of a break, both from the cold and from the active weather, because heads up for early Saturday. We've got another round of active weather rolling in, and it looks like for most this is going to be a little bit of wet snow. Notice that mixing line in pink right along the shoreline of Lake Ontario. Some rain for the most part may stay over the lake, but it's possible we'll get some rain showers too. It could be a little bit of accumulation, but again, conditions are going to be quite mild. It moves out quickly, and then through the rest of your day on Saturday, we'll get some clearing, but that temperature is going to start to plummet. And boy, oh boy, will you notice a difference into Saturday night. So there's the warm up. Here's the cool down. Flash freezing is going to be a possibility late day Saturday if the temperature falls fast enough. And then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we are into the cold. Here is your 7-day forecast. Saturday, 3 degrees. Sunday, daytime high of -8. Then those overnight lows at times are going to be close to -20 degrees. The daytime highs could remain in the minus double digits. It's been a while since we've said that. And it looks like the cold weather is going to be sticking around right through the middle of next week. And if these temperatures look cold for you, there's a good chance they're a little too cold for your pet as well. Jessica Smith is live at the Toronto Humane Society tonight with some tips on preparing our four-legged friends for this Arctic blast. Jess.
Lindsay, it is not too bad today, as you mentioned, but we have heard you talk about how cold it is going to get with this Arctic air coming down. Lucas Solway from the Toronto Humane Society joining us. Now, we've got Echo sniffing around in the background, enjoying herself. Today's not too bad, but it is going to get absolutely freezing. How cold is too cold, and how do we kind of gauge this for our pets?
Sure, so pets can get hypothermia, they can get frostbite just like people. So you want to really look at their body language. Are they shivering? Are they whining? Are they getting more lethargic? Is their skin cold to the touch? There's lots of things to look for. When it comes to frostbite, it's more likely to be on their paws, on their tail, on their ears. So look out for their skin. Is it really cold to the touch? Is it freezing up? Are there spots or discoloration? So if you notice any of that and you're concerned, do see your veterinarian right away.
I know obviously some breeds they do better in the cold than others, but you really have to watch out for how much time you're spending outside, especially when we get into these, double-digit lows and we're looking at wind chills into the -20s. I know we talk about not leaving our pets in the car in the summertime, but that also applies to the winter.
Absolutely. Leaving your pet in the car in any weather temperature extreme can be deadly. So do bring your pets in, whether it's the summer or the winter, and just keep your eyes out for them.
We are trying to enjoy the winter season. I know a lot of us are worried about how much time we're spending indoors with our pets if they're really high energy ones. What are some tips for people if your dog is we can't get outside, it's way too cold? How do you keep them mentally stimulated?
Oh, there's so many amazing products out there. We have some of them here at Toronto Humane Society, but there's, puzzle feeders, there's all sorts of games and activities, there's training, all sorts of games that you can play with them. And a lot of pets love being rewarded. So through positive reinforcement training, they do what they're supposed to do. They get a treat. They're happy. You're happy.
I know we have lots of pets here at the Humane Society and lots of dogs like Echo over here. When it comes to bringing an animal into your home, maybe you're a first-time pet owner, is there training available? Do they have resources here for, okay, how do I get ready for the winter season, the summer season, when it comes to making sure I give this pet the very best life that they can have?
We have all sorts of training available for both dogs and cats, whether that's it's all sorts of basic training to behavioral and from, training, pet training 101 to more advanced. We have something for everyone.
And boots are hard. Is there a way to figure out how to put boots on your dog?
Yeah, so definitely through one of our positive reinforcement trainings, the pet gets a treat, they have a positive association with those booties, they're more likely to put them on.
Listen, we are winter ready thanks to all the information from Lucas here at the Toronto Humane Society. We're going to go play with Echo. We're going to send things back inside to the studio.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you. Appreciate it. Also tonight, Trump taps a trio of stars to boost the TV and film industry. The famous faces named special envoys to Hollywood.
Some sad news out of Hollywood to share with you tonight. Legendary director David Lynch has died.
Lynch was the creative mind behind some of the most distinctive TV shows and films over the last 50 years, including Twin Peaks.
This is, a damn fine cup of coffee.
Lynch received Oscar nominations for directing The Elephant Man, Blue Velvet, and Mulholland Drive. And in 2019, he was presented an honorary Lifetime Achievement Oscar. Lynch was 78 years old. The news was confirmed by his family in a post on his Facebook page. They shared a message announcing his death, along with a picture of him, adding, "There's a big hole in the world now that he's no longer with us. But as he would say, keep your eye on the donut and not on the hole."
Donald Trump would like to see a new golden age in Hollywood. So to help, he's hiring 3 special ambassadors. The U.S. president-elect has chosen Jon Voight, Mel Gibson, and Sylvester Stallone. Trump says the actors will be his eyes and ears in the movie-making capital, and he will get done what they suggest. Trump says Hollywood has lost a lot of business over the past 4 years to other countries, and he wants to make it stronger than ever before.
Country singer Kenny Chesney is the latest artist planning a residency at the Las Vegas Sphere.
The reason that this was exciting for me to do is because it's such a different road for us to go down. I get to take my audience into this really immersive space, if you will. And
Chesney joins a list of artists who put on their own residencies at the Las Vegas Sphere, including U2 and Dead & Company. The country singer will be taking the stage there from May 22nd through to June 14th.
Comedian and former late-night host Conan O'Brien is set to receive a major honor. The Kennedy Center announced today that O'Brien will be the 26th recipient of the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor. While granting the Lifetime Achievement Award, organizers call the 61-year-old a master of invention and reinvention in his comedy. O'Brien responded to the news with a joke, saying he was being recognized for his work as a riverboat pilot. He'll receive the prize in March, a few weeks after hosting the Oscars.
Nintendo revealed the long-awaited successor to its popular Switch console. The gaming company shared this trailer showcasing the Nintendo Switch 2. It didn't include too many specifics, but it makes clear the updated console will have a larger screen size and other hardware upgrades. It'll also be able to play games from the original Switch. Nintendo says it will be out sometime this year.
After the break, a tough break for the Maple Leafs. Forward John Tavares is placed on injured reserve and is considered week to week. We have the details.
We are committed to improving our service, making Toronto the safest it can be.
Updating our top stories, Toronto's police chief was at City Hall defending the service's ask of millions more dollars in this year's budget. Police say crime rates are increasing faster than their resources are expanding. The proposed $1.2 billion operating budget is up 3.9% from last year.
It's pretty wrong. Like, me as a pet owner, it's awful to hear that type of stuff.
Peel police are investigating, and a teenage boy is in custody after a disturbing incident in Mississauga. Emergency crews responded to a home for a fire and found an injured dog inside. Police believe the youth was responsible for both the fire and the injury. They're considering mental health as a factor.
I'm back home in Edmonton to declare my candidacy for leader of the Liberal Party.
And former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney made it official today, announcing he's interested in replacing Justin Trudeau as Liberal Party leader and Prime Minister. Another perceived frontrunner, former Deputy PM Chrystia Freeland, is expected to declare on Sunday. The deadline to join the race is 1 week away.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app.
On the markets, the Canadian dollar changed hands at $69.46, down 0.32 cents. Oil closed at $65.45 a barrel, up $1.78. And the TSX Composite Index ended the day at 24,846.2, up just under 57 points.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
A new report shows 2024 was a dismal year for new condo sales across the GTHA. The number of transactions involving new condo units in Toronto fell 64% last year compared to 2023. Real estate analytics firm Urbanation says the approximately 4,600 sales made for the slowest year since 1996. The report cited a drop in investors as a major factor in the slowdown. It warned lagging condo pre-sales will cripple construction starts this year.
Meanwhile, recent polling from the Ontario Real Estate Association shows prospective home buyers are not hopeful it will get any easier or cheaper anytime soon. The survey found more than half expect housing prices to increase this year. Nearly half of those aspiring homeowners have either given up or are pessimistic about the possibility of ever achieving that goal. Many see high development charges as a big obstacle to getting more homes built, with 3/4 strongly supporting reducing municipal development charges.
The province's Integrity Commissioner has declined a request from the opposition to investigate a complaint linked to the redevelopment of Ontario Place. The NDP had called for an investigation into Infrastructure Minister Kinga Surma and the province's deal with Therma to build a large spa at Ontario Place. Today, Integrity Commissioner J. David Wake said he won't pursue the matter, in part because Surma's ministry wasn't responsible for Ontario Place until after the Therma deal was reached. Last month, the Auditor General called the process neither fair nor transparent, claims the province has disputed. Minister Surma said today, quote, "I'd like to thank the Integrity Commissioner for taking the time to carefully review these important projects. We are proud of the work we are doing for the taxpayers of this province and will continue to build Ontario."
The Toronto Maple Leafs will be without one of their top forwards for a while. John Tavares has been placed on injured reserve. The centerman fell awkwardly during yesterday's practice after he got his feet tangled with a teammate. The club says he'll be out for at least a week. Tavares is having a strong season with 20 goals and 22 assists in 44 games. Fraser Minton has been recalled from the Marlies.
In comes Marner, drops it up to Matthews, shoots, scores! Austin Matthews fires it home, and the Leafs have grabbed a 1-0 lead.
Nice start, but Toronto lost 4-1 to the Stars on Tuesday. The Leafs did score first, but Dallas went on to get 4 unanswered goals. Tonight, Toronto welcomes New Jersey to town. That'll be the first time back for former Leafs coach Sheldon Keefe. And later this month, fans will get a chance to watch the Leafs for free. The team is hosting its annual outdoor practice on Monday, January 27th. This event moves to the Prince of Wales rink in Mimico this year. There will also be complimentary skate rentals. It caps off a weekend that includes a Leafs alumni game on Sunday and viewing parties for the Scepters and Leafs games on Saturday.
Letting the clock work. Scotty down the lane. Jakob on the scene. Offensive rebound, put back.
The Raptors have won back-to-back games. R.J. Barrett scored 22 points to help Toronto to a 110-97 win last night over Boston. The Raptors will look to keep the momentum going when they visit the Milwaukee Bucks tomorrow.
And the Toronto Argonauts 2025 schedule has been released. Here's a look at some of the notable games. The Boatmen opened the season Friday, June 6th on the road in a rematch of last year's Eastern Final against Montreal. The Argos' first home game is Saturday, June 14th versus Calgary. The reigning Grey Cup winners will raise the 19th championship banner in franchise history. The Labor Day Classic in Hamilton takes place September 1st. And Toronto's final regular season game is Saturday, October 18th in Calgary.
Just ahead, a dragon dance with an underwater twist. Thailand makes waves in anticipation of the upcoming Lunar New Year. Thailand is gearing up for annual Lunar New Year celebration.
And in Bangkok, tourists were treated to a unique spectacle today. This underwater dragon dance took place at the city's aquarium. It was performed by 4 divers surrounded by sharks and other fish. One of the performers said the dragon for this year's dance was longer and larger compared to previous years, making it more exciting. 4 million tourists are expected to visit the Southeast Asian nation during the Lunar New Year holiday.
That looks good. So I know there's this deep freeze coming, but let's maybe focus on the warm-up first.
Yes, there is going to be a warm-up first. Starting not so much overnight tonight, but starting tomorrow. This is what you're going to be waking up to. Temperature still below freezing, but by the afternoon, that temperature is going to climb at or above the freezing mark, and we are going to be mild. There's the forecast high compared to the seasonal average, so above normal. A reminder that we do have another round of active weather that's going to roll in for Saturday morning. That's ahead of the cool down. The real cold air settles in after that. You're really going to feel it Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It looks like there's a little bit of relief from extreme cold by about Thursday of next week. But yes, we do have some pretty cold days to get through. Our coldest of the season so far, and really our coldest in about 2 years, Nathan and Michelle.
Well, we appreciate the warning. Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for us, but you can join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.